Have you thought in a game to yourself, can I do this? Only to be disappointed when you can't? Yeah, me too. Well, in Eternal Strands, that question gets answered with a resounding yes more than a no. I'm the blind guy, and today we're going to be going over my review for Eternal Strands. And full disclosure, this review is in progress, but I believe I have seen enough of this game to be able to share my thoughts. I want to give a massive thank you to Yellow Brick Games for supplying me with a review copy. I've had more fun with this game than I initially thought I would. Is Eternal Strands worth your time? Well, let's find out. Eternal Strands is Yellow Brick Games' debut title. They are an indie studio which encompasses a team of 50 developers from such studios as Ubisoft and Gearbox and more. We're starting to see more and more of this trend these days. Some people are frustrated with the current state of gaming and they leave big studios and begin their own smaller ones to try to create new games with fresh ideas and that are just generally fun to play. This game could be described as Shadow of the Colossus meets Breath of the Wild and was inspired by such games as Monster Hunter and Dragon's Dogma. I'll be honest, I played an early build of the game as a playtest a number of months ago, and I wasn't super impressed, but being as that was an early build of the game, I wanted to give the game a fair chance on its full release, and I have to say, I'm glad I did. The story goes something like this. Decades ago, the Enclave unexpectedly sealed itself away from the rest of the world. The Enclave was once a powerful center of the magical wonders, which now lies dormant. After finding a way through the believed to be impenetrable barrier, a band of weavers, who are powerful magic users that blend sword and sorcery to devastating effect, must peel back the mysteries in this lost land. We play as Brynn, a young but fearless weaver, determined to recover her people's cultural name. We are armed with powerful magic abilities and an arsenal of magical weapons. This game isn't open world, but it's open zone. In other words, we travel to different locations through portals and have the freedom to roam in that region before traveling to another. Throughout the game, we face enemies that range from humanoid constructs to towering beasts. As we fight enemies and scour the open zone environments, we collect resources to use in a deep and robust crafting system. Every weapon and armor piece that we collect throughout the game will need to be brought back to the hub and crafted. To learn more about this system, be sure to check out my starter guide on the channel. Among the crafting system, there are some very unique systems and mechanics at play in Eternal Strands. You can use the environment and temperature to your advantage in battles against the diverse roster of fantastical creatures, like turning a dragon's fiery breath against ice-covered minions. In this same vein, we can manipulate the loot system in the game by using different elements to burn or freeze and break off different parts of these creatures to change the loot that is received. We're able to climb every surface and use our magical abilities and skills to create new paths. Have you ever wanted to catch a fireball that a dragon shoots at you in midair and hurl it back at them? Well, you can do that here with the impressive physics systems in the game. Use fire in a forest area and the fire will spread, and once the fire dies out, you can see scorched earth and trees. You can hurl rocks, throw enemies, catch projectiles, and break floors and buildings to get somewhere you couldn't before. You do all this freely in the game. All your magical abilities can be combined to synergize with each other. For instance, you can place a kinetic bubble on a piece of an enemy's armor and blast fire into it to create a microwave that will explode in the flames. There's also a kinetic ability that's a channel that you can jump into to launch yourself, but you can also set up bouncing fireballs below it to create a fire cannon of sorts. Basically, the only limitation here is your imagination. Oh, and you can parry a giant monster from squashing you like a bug, too. Pretty awesome. So as I said, I can't comment heavily on the story as this is a review in progress, but what I have played, it seems interesting enough so far. Nothing that has blown me away yet or anything. I'm a person that enjoys gameplay over story, but if a game has both of these aspects, it just makes the experience that much more enjoyable. I do see a lot of replayability with this game as the grind for resources is real. In order to upgrade your magical powers, you'll need to kill the creatures at least 3 to 4 times, and most likely more than that if you want to get high-end crafting materials. In order to get the strand from these enemies, you need to expose their weak point, which the strategy to do so is different for each one. The process for figuring that all out is very fun, in my opinion. You'll get codex entries that inform you how to do it, but translating that out in the field sometimes requires some additional thinking. Playtime is supposed to be around 25 to 35 hours. There's also side quests in the game, so like I said, there's a fair amount of content here. As far as sound design goes, the music and sound effects are all great. Hearing the fire and ice crackle and sizzle as it affects objects in the environment around you is great and adds to the immersion. However, there are a couple of small gripes that I had. The way cutscenes were created and talking with NPCs is very odd. First of all, with the cutscenes, some of them are regular cutscenes, but then some are in cartoon format, which threw me off a bit. And in regards with talking to the NPCs, it looks like something you see when you're playing a 2D game. Characters are flat against the screen and not moving with dialogue boxes below them with what they're saying. Personally, for me, these two things broke immersion. If I'm playing a third-person action game where I want to get lost in the world and ambiance, suddenly seeing a cartoonish cutscene is totally immersion-breaking. I'm not sure what the reasoning was behind this design choice. Perhaps it was budgetary reasons, which I can understand. I'm just kind of throwing my opinion out there. Also, the other thing, I would have liked to see an auto pickup option for loot in the game. Fighting the large creatures can yield quite a bit of loot, and it would just be a nice quality of life option in the game. Performance was pretty solid on PS5 for the game, although in the area after where the public demo ended, I did get some massive frame dips when using fire. This tends to happen a lot in these sort of games, but I figured I'd mention it anyway. Also, I did get punched literally through the world in one instance, which honestly was pretty funny, but I'm also playing prior to release. So going back to the beginning of the video, is Eternal Strands worth your time? Yes, I believe it is. If you're a fan of these types of games, this game gets its inspiration from. Like I said, I really did not have high hopes going into this one, and it exceeded all my expectations. The game retails for $40, but in my opinion, that might be a little high. I'd like to see it maybe priced at about $30. You do get a fair amount of content, but I feel this being a debut title from a new studio, it should have been priced a little bit lower. However, it is on Xbox Game Pass day one, and the public demo was released on the 21st, so if you're on the fence about this, try out the demo and see how you like it. With all this being said, I'm going to give Eternal Strands an 8 out of 10. Again, I was very pleasantly surprised with the game and have enjoyed it. But that's going to do it for this one. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Have you played the demo? Will you be playing the game? Let me know. I love hearing from you guys. So anyway, hopefully you all enjoyed. Hopefully you're doing well. Stay tuned. More coming at you. Take care.